Welcome to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 291 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Melissa Lamarche. And if you want to hear the story of becoming a patient to a chiropractor, stay tuned. Welcome to episode 291 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Dr. Melissa Lamarche with us, and she's coming in. Are you in Atlanta today? Marietta, Georgia, the home of Life University, if you guys didn't know that. And Luke is coming in from Ann Arbor, which is new to most of our Chiro Hustle fans. And I'm out here in beautiful Grand Junction, as we call it, the Grand Valley. And we were just discussing some of the beauty that is in this backyard. That Melissa, you're from this area, right?
Yep, that's where I grew up.
So it's an honor to be producing from the backyard of Dr. Melissa Lamarche. And with that being said, it's an honor for us also to protect free speech in chiropractic and to support subluxation-based conversations and to protect the sacred trust. So that's a whole mouthful right there, but it means so much to the future and to the preservation and documenting chiropractic as a profession. So off camera, I mentioned to you that we've done over 1,000 of these interviews, and that's, in my opinion, a milestone in the beginning, but we have so much more to do. So with that being said, episode 291 is yours. And question one is for you. And question one is your story. It's our favorite part of our interview process, is because you're the most important part of this interview. And if you could just share with us a little bit about your background of what inspired you to become a chiropractor, that'd be amazing to hear. And I'm sure our audience will be happy to hear it too.
Yeah. So when I was in my senior year of undergrad, where I studied sports medicine, I was living in Denver, Colorado, and I decided that I was going to try out for the Denver Broncos dance team. And so I started doing a lot of dance moves that I hadn't done for a while, primarily like kicking, like high kicks and stuff. And I started getting left hip pain for, as far as I knew, no reason at all. And at the time, I was doing an internship in a physical therapy office that also specialized in sports medicine. And they really couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. I was diagnosed up the chain. Long story short, I ended up with a specialist physical therapist who ultimately told me that my pelvis was out of whack and I had a lot of muscle weakness as a result of that. And it happened actually because I discovered along the way that I have a couple of spinal deformities that basically preclude my pelvis from kind of getting more stuck than the normal pelvis, just to keep it simple. So that kind of began my journey. I was very allopathic at the time. Sports medicine is very allopathic pathway. You know, they use a lot of drugs and intervention there, although now they use a lot more chiropractic care, which is totally awesome. But I just deteriorated despite the efforts that the physical therapist made, massage therapists, things like that. I just really wasn't getting any better. And it wasn't until I started seeking chiropractic care that things started to turn around for me. Well into a year after I'd already been basically living with sciatica and pain, I created a functional scoliosis because I was always turning away from the pain. I felt like I was in bad shape. And I was like 24 years old and I was going to claim disability. Actually, it was like so bad. I could hardly walk. It was just not cool. My doctor at the time, my medical doctor, osteopathic doctor, actually, he's like, you really want to make sure that you really think this through, because once you claim something like this, that's like all you get for the rest of your life. So at the time, it was like $700 a month if I was to claim disability at 24 years of age. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do that. I guess I'll just suffer through. Well, then I met a chiropractor, and ultimately, he is the one that made the biggest difference in my life. He created a care plan for me that I could afford, that I could accomplish. And with time, I basically eventually got better, and I kept getting better. And I also did exercise at the same time. I was a personal trainer during this time as well. But then I got to this place where I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just be a personal trainer. And even actually while I was a personal trainer, I was going to school to get prerequisites for medical school because I thought that I wanted to be a medical doctor. And my chiropractic experience really actually changed that for me. When I got to the place that I needed to decide if I was going to go to medical school, I felt this really dark cloud, and it kind of forced me to recognize or evaluate the choice that I was making. And I realized that when it came to my own personal health, that the first person I always saw, regardless of what was wrong with me, was my chiropractor. The second person was an acupuncturist, and the third person, the last person that I would see, was a medical doctor. And I was like, why do I want to be a medical doctor, And that was my decision. I decided at that point that I wanted to go and be a chiropractor. And I will never forget the day that I told Dr. Randy Roman in Grand Junction, Colorado. I know you know him. When I told him that I was going to go to chiropractic school, because Randy's my chiropractor this whole time. He's the one, that gave me the inspiration, the hope that I could get better. But man, he fell over. Like, how big his smile is. This guy has like a piano keyboard smile. He's so gregarious. And he's like, "Oh, Melissa, my prayers have been answered." And it was totally awesome. And literally in 3 months, I went to chiropractic school. I went to Parker. And I guess the rest is chiropractic history.
So since becoming a chiropractor, what are some things that would make you unique or make you stand out from some of the other offices in your area?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that my experience in the sports medicine and physical therapy realm, as well as overcoming my own problem, ultimately, like I had a pelvic problem, a pelvic dysfunction. I had to learn how to restabilize all that along with the chiropractic care. So I have a big interest in that. And I feel like as far as chiropractic and what I offer to my patients, what makes me different is that I incorporate that heavily into my care plans, and I hold a lot of accountability onto my patients as well.
Yeah, I think what you said is spot on when it comes to how you decide that you're going to take care of people. A lot of it's from our learned intelligence and how we, assimilate how we'd want to take care of ourselves is how we should take care of others. It's the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. And I think that we learn through our dysfunctions of how we think that we can make an impact in other people's lives, and then you become the actual person that gets the license to heal. And then you can go out there and take care of people, which I think is, it creates abundance in the community too, because now people have the ability to refer to somebody that can help them. And I think that that's the biggest thing you learned is like, why do I want to go to that person when I don't have that type of concern? I have a functionality concern. I don't have a lack of drug or a lack of surgery concern or a lack of ability. You did have a lack of ability, but it wasn't something that you were willing to throw the towel in and say, I'm disabled. And I think that that's a big spot for most people to learn through is when you think that's the end of the road, that's just the beginning. and when you go through that dysfunction of change, now you're able to do this. And now you have the power to carry on. And I think that that's a big story with chiropractic is chiropractic does give the power back to people to be able to start thriving again, rather than just kind of maintaining at a low level frequency. It opens them up and clears out their nervous system to where they can start to find a better path to the future, which what it did for you is turned you into a chiropractor.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. And I think that that's fascinating. I guess let's talk a little bit more marketing. I've never really talked to you about marketing much, but, we've done some hikes together and that's been pretty cool. And I've gotten to know you as a friend. So I guess I'm curious, like, since you've, built the practice down there in the Atlanta area. What have been some of your favorite ways to market?
I'm a terrible marketer, but I'm a great vibrator, I guess you could say. I joined a BNI group, Business Networking International. There's a lot of chiropractors that know what it is. There's plenty that don't, though, also. And that's ultimately what gave me the foundation of building relationships with other people that would refer to me. BNI is a closed networking group. So it's people that work with you to send you referrals. Like they wouldn't send it to another chiropractor. People in my group would only send it to me. But BNI is also created around building relationships and getting to know the people in your group so that you can all build better relationships with the people that they could also help as well. So that's how I started, is with BNI. And I'm still in the same BNI group like 4 years later, I think it is. And I make too much money off of them to leave, honestly, which is great, right? To think that you could just run your mouth and grow your business. And it's not just running your mouth. It's certainly directed marketing. You tell people what you need and what you're looking for. But honestly, I've tried Facebook marketing. I have done Facebook coaching. I've done a lot of coaching, actually. And when it comes to marketing for me personally, it's really just word of mouth that's built my practice. Internally, I talk to my patients. Oh, it's so great. Who do you know? Tell all your friends about me. Oh, think about all the other people that didn't know this. Even when I ask somebody for a Google review, Google reviews have been great for me in building my practice. Google can be great if you have a bunch of 5-star reviews, right? It can be organic. But, I ask people, would you mind sharing your story so that somebody else could experience just like you? I say somebody else suffered just like you. You could change somebody else's life just like your life has been changed by telling your story. And that's a big one that people really attach onto and will tend to write their Google review for that. But I do the same thing in the office. I talk to my patients. Usually they have such amazing reviews or results, I should say, that they're compelled to tell their friends and family about me.
That's, when I've become who I am now in the chiro space, I like to give talks about new school marketing and old school marketing, because I still tell people that they have to go out and meet their community. They still have to go and shake hands and become present, and they have to build those relationships. I think it was from Jerry Maguire. There's a guy named Dickie Fox. He said the key to long-term success is personal relationships. And that's what BNI does. And by the way, we've interviewed Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI.
Oh, wow.
And you do know this, that like chiropractors love management groups, and they love like to have like a network. Well, the greatest management chiropractic network in the world is Business Network International.
That's
because
interesting.
there's a chiropractor in every chapter.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So the footprint of the chiropractic profession within that one network that you decided to talk about is massive. And most people think that, a coaching group or a management group are big. No, Business Network International is massive, and it supports chiropractic so well. And chiropractors plug into that, and they old school grassroots grow their practices just like you. So I'm so happy that you decided to talk about that aspect of marketing today. And I do think also, a review, people are going to go and look at your curb appeal and see what they look like before they buy. Yeah, they're going to look and they're going to drive by the neighborhood and see if people take care of their stuff before they decide they're going to move in. And that's the same way that they treat any service provider out there. Is they're going to go drive by digitally and see what the service provider has to be said on the neighborhood that they live in. And they're going to see if there's enough social proof, as you said, to support the narrative that they're going to show up for, to see you, to let you take care of them as their doctor and their provider. So all kinds of cool stuff there. And thanks for sharing about like how you think that, your vibrational frequency attracts people, because a lot of times people think that they have to do it through a mechanistic approach, which is an ad or, drop whatever they decide it is. It's an Instagram reel. It's an interview that they do, but everybody's angling towards some way to market their practice better. And old school marketing still works.
Well, Jim Parker, I went to Parker University. He had a saying, because he had these things called the Parker principles. And one of them is, what I see in the universe sees in me. right? So what you put out there, you get back. We're all just energy ultimately. So I always feel like whoever is supposed to be with me is going to be with me. The people that are meant to say yes are the ones that are meant to say yes. I'm that's a strong belief system inside of me.
So what are some things that you're doing for your own personal health and your family's health? I know you take care of people, but how do you take care of yourself?
Well, we just got this awesome new massage chair, so I'm stoked about that. So that's going to be a new thing I'm going to do. It's amazing. It's one of those inner balance ones with like the arms and the legs. Oh man, going to change my life. I think the biggest thing that I work on, though, frankly, is mental health. I work a lot on just not remembering it's not about me. That I am here to give other people the things that they seek. Gratitude, positivity. Those are the things that I work on the most because, chiropractic is a very physical job. And I do some maintenance stuff, balance training, whatever. But you could just be a chiropractor and be fit.
That's the one area people usually forget about.
Oh, yeah. I think that that is honestly the biggest thing that I work on.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. It's the emotional component of subluxation.
Above Atlas.
Yeah, and most people they forget. They think it's always a physical presence that we show up with, and it's really hard to get to that other layer of people. But I think that most people come in for some type of a physical manifestation, but they don't realize that it's actually a mental causation, and a lot. Impulse. Yeah. So the above, down, inside out means the thoughts too, because there's 3 things that cause subluxation: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So a lot of times people do need to repair. They're out of balance with their thought paradigm. So cool to you for sharing and being vulnerable about, where you have to work on your game the most is taking care of your mental health and then learning how to relax. So I hope that massage chair is awesome for you.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about the massage chair.
So you said BNI, community. What does it mean for you to be connected to your community?
Gosh, that's a great question. That wasn't on my list.
I know. I threw you a curveball.
Asked one of my favorite ways.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be connected to my community? Well, I guess it just means that you're connected to other people, right? Yeah. It feels good to be connected to people. And obviously you have to be able to get into a community to spread through a community to spread into more community, I guess. I don't know.
So the follow-up to that then is, what are your favorite ways to stay connected? I know you do the BNI stuff, but are there other things you like to do?
I am in a Rotary group, which is a service-based group. And when they have events and they work with my schedule, I certainly go and volunteer with them. So that's been really great because it's really hard for me to put myself out there, which is why I don't really advertise, frankly. That's why I just let people come to me. So that's one way for me to kind of feel comfortable about going out there. I don't have to necessarily do it alone. And I guess all of us just really want somebody to do something with. So it also offers opportunity for me to find things to do. You know what I mean? It's a collaborative, so it's easier to find people to do things with for the community as a greater whole.
Amen.
So how do you see chiropractic growing and developing over the next 20 years or so?
Man, I wish I had a crystal ball, don't I? I bet everybody thinks that. Well, I think that what's going to happen is that the profession is going to continue to divide as the different sanctions think they're right. I hope this doesn't happen. I want to see if we can have some sort of a unity brought together where we don't point and shoot at ourselves. Because when we were at the Life homecoming this weekend, the plenary, they're asking the question that Dee Dee asked a long time ago: if two people are exposed to the same thing, but they have two completely different responses, then is it the host or is it the organism, right? And Life is like looking at pursuing that knowledge. Can we discover that through chiropractic and research and brain scanning and things like that? Like, they want to answer that question. And I think that if we answer that question, it'd be phenomenal, right? Immunity, chiropractic, bridge the gap, finally have the research that backs that up. But there's this other side that seems to want to be so much more mechanical about it all. And don't get me wrong, I understand the mechanics of what we do. It is mechanical, but there's a metaphysical component. And I think that as long as we discard that metaphysical component of it all and don't realize that eventually we are going to find the science that supports it, we're just going to divide ourselves, and we're going to end up being engulfed into the medical mainstream that doesn't even work already. And it's sickening for me to think that even the school I went to is leaning that way. So in 20 years, I hope that we're not that completely divided, but I don't see anything changing at this moment, but 20 years is a long time. So I just hope that people can find more unity or find more way to listen to each other and not have so much, I hate to use the word hate, but we have that in our profession. I think it's terrible. There's got to be common ground. I mean, we're all chiropractors, right? We all hopefully believe that the power that made the body, but when we're fighting things like big governing bodies that say, oh, well, the x-rays aren't even warranted for chiropractic care, it's just like, what are you talking about? We're dealing with the spine. Of course we should be taking x-rays of these people. It makes a difference in their life. So, even just to have people arguing about that because one group is trying to make one group happy and the other one's just trying to sustain their identity of what makes us separate and distinct from others, the real game changers. I'm pontificating.
Yeah. I think it's important though. Like that this is almost as important as us asking you why you became a chiropractor, because
it's more important.
Yeah. And in 20 years, I'll be 63 and I'll come back and listen to this episode.
Oh my God. I just keep hope. We have to do for ourselves what we do for our patients, which is give hope, So I hang around with people that have that hope. And I just try to find more people and give more of it.
Well, if you could, what would be some things about the profession that you would change to prevent all that from happening?
I don't know. I mean, that's a great question, right? I'm sure a lot of people have been trying to figure that one out. Honestly, I think one of the biggest things that we could do is just to not talk nil of others ultimately, not to single out a particular school or whatnot, because how do we bring ourselves up by bringing other people down? I've heard many people talk from the stage that talk down on others. And it's just like, well, how do you expect to bring anything up when you're pushing them down, right? So it doesn't serve anybody to talk in the negative light or to vocally say to a population negative things about another population. We need to figure a way that we can somehow find the positive on each side, because that's how we're going to find the unity that's going to sustain us long term. Because if we keep fighting, we're just going to kill the whole thing.
Well, if I can just step in for a second, it's unity through diversity, and that all chiropractors adjust a little bit different and they run their businesses and practices a little bit different. But nowhere in there did I say diversity with medicine or diversity with medical model. I said unity through diversity of understanding what the chiropractor is delivering as a chiropractor. By licensure and by ethical presence. So,
by scope of practice.
Yeah, and I think
people out there trying to change our scope.
Yeah, and that's the dangerous thing is chiropractic is such a pure delivery system that nowhere in there does it say that they study pharmacology or they study medicine or surgery. It's a different, distinct scope. And chiropractors have been doing a different, distinct scope since the foundation of the profession. So let's keep it that way, in my opinion. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would support that message too. And yeah, chiropractors should be doing x-rays. Like if I went to a chiropractor and they're like, yeah, we don't believe in x-rays, I would jump out of that clinic and I would go find somebody that would actually x-ray me.
Well, I mean, the reality is there are things that lurk below that we can't actually see in examination, regardless of how thorough your exam is. You know, somebody has a congenital deformity. I mean, certainly we know the risks of certain health conditions that can cause predispositions to things, but in the end, you don't really know what things look like under everything. We are great people, but we're not Superman or Superwoman. We don't have x-ray vision. And to think that we're going to start manipulating people's necks, you know, what if they don't have something that's there to protect them from I don't know.
I just tell people you don't want to guess with your health.
Exactly.
And if we have the access to something that's a tool that can help us perform better and do no harm, then it should be implemented and it should be used and it should be accepted
and exceeds the risk.
And damn it, supported. And not trying to be like removed. Like that was one of the biggest things that I've caught in the past 5 years of being an advocate, that people actually thought that it's a great idea to remove something. It's like telling in another profession, like, you know, you can't use x-ray to determine tooth decay. Like, why wouldn't you? It just makes sense. Like if it's nonsensical to remove that aspect from chiropractic just to like rubber stamp it. It's like
we need to take a lot of ego out of chiropractic.
Yeah. And to follow the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm. And by doing no harm, you want to have the best outcome, which is having the best diagnosis. And when you have a better diagnosis, you get a better outcome. And there's that much more clarity in the plan that you said earlier when Dr. Roman set you up at 24 years, what that plan was. But it was based on objective findings, and it was based on the exam, and it was based on the future of the patient and the outcome. And what happened? You became a chiropractor.
That was always his.
I'm sure.
He didn't care if I got better. I just happened to get better along the way because he knew I would.
So who have been some of your heroes or people who've inspired you to be where you are today?
Luke, I want to let you know how much I appreciate you keeping us on track today.
It's my job.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. My husband is my greatest hero in chiropractic. He's the person I aspire to be the most like. I've never met a better influencer, a better lover, a better giver. Just such a well-developed human being. And his stories are amazing. Even like, tell you a chiropractic miracle story. The best miracle stories I've heard in my life so far are his, about himself recovering from primary pulmonary hypertension and his son Christopher being burned and being blind to not being blind, and having 100% 20/20 recovery. So it's him. He's the biggest influencer in chiropractic today, in my opinion. And honestly, I feel like he's the one that could ultimately probably bring us all together.
Well, if you could have lunch with anyone from history, would you pick someone different?
I would have lunch with the Queen of England.
Awesome. We have not had that answer
yet. She's been alive for a long time and she's seen a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's endured a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very elegant and she's kept her composure the whole time, right? So that's admirable. How did she do it? What are her tricks to the trade?
Yeah, I wonder if she sees a chiropractor.
No, she has terrible forward head posture.
we need to get on the campaign for them then. Like, let's get them under care.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about mental health.
We need some unsubluxated leadership out there.
So as we start to wrap up, maybe you could share us a miracle story that you've given to someone in your own office.
Well, I don't know if I could tell you my own miracle story, but I can give some advice to doctors out there so that people feel like every day is a miracle in their own life. Every day when I adjust people, I do little bits of miracle testing, of muscle testing. I'll go like this and like this. You can't really see it, but I'll test the ulna and the radius, to like I just showed, to see if this is weak, and it will tell me if I need to adjust the forearm or not. And it's just totally awesome to the reflex will be weak, and then you adjust the arm. And then, of course, it's strong afterwards. And they're always like, oh, my God. And you just say, it's a miracle. And, they're like, oh, ha, ha. But then you look them in the eye, or you say something and you just say, but you know what the real miracle is? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's you.
Miracle testing. I like that. And
they eat it up like no one's business. It's totally awesome. I'll adjust their shoulders sometimes. I'll be standing behind them and I'll be like right in their ear. And I'll be like, I'll adjust it strong. I'm like, it's a miracle. And I'll be like, but you know what the real miracle is? Right in there, I'll be like, it's you.
Amen. That's so
because life is a miracle. Every adjustment is a miracle. Every time you can tap, like you said earlier, it's the simplicity of it all when we were chatting. Mm-hmm. Chiropractic is a simple solution to many complex problems. And it's amazing to think that something so simple can impact someone's life so profoundly.
And to back up that statement, the medical profession cannot and will never own chiropractic.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
And as we protect the sacred trust, that's what it stands for. That's what our show stands for. And, I just want to acknowledge you for sharing your free speech on chiropractic today and sharing your story and having a conversation with us about your truth. And I believe it's something that's necessary for all of us to be able to be gleaned upon for our wisdom. And our audience is going to be much better for having had the connection with you today and to be able to hear your vision of the future, and us to be able to go back and forth and to support each other and to challenge each other, but yet get a common message to people is chiropractic is damn important. And it's damn important to protect, and it's damn important to perpetuate. And we need to protect what we know it to be so other people do not come in and manipulate it and infiltrate it with weaker versions of leadership.
So as we wrap up, Melissa, what are some websites people can visit if they want to learn more about you or your husband or your practice? Where can people go?
Oh, well, if you want to learn about my husband, you can go to Life University. He is the vice president of lots of different things there. There's so many titles now. Development, enrollment, seminars. For me, I do have a website, but I think the easiest way you can ever find anything about anybody is you can Google it. So Dr. Melissa Briscoe Lamarche, I'm out there.
Awesome.
Oh, you're so
that was
sweet.
My husband.
It's a powerful chiropractic unity. Thank you.
Well, that just about wraps up this episode for today. Dr. Melissa, thank you so much for being our guest. This was a good one, and I hope people got a lot of value out of it.
Thanks, Luke. Me too.
And thank you for being our guest, as Luke says, and I look forward to seeing you sometime really soon.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, all right?
All right, you too.
Talk soon. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.